Today, I want to talk about moving to a new state. That's right. Where you're at has gotten bad. You can't afford it anymore. It's dangerous. There's crime on every street. You're afraid to even go to the store. I mean, it's gotten crazy. The illegals have taken over or whatever. I don't know. But you decide you have to get out of there. You have to move to a new state and you have to start over. How do you know where to go? Well, you pick one that's kinda got a similar background, a similar environment to what you're used to. If you're used to living in Hawaii, you certainly don't move to Alaska, and vice versa. If you live in the Northeast, you're not gonna move to the Southwest, okay? A lot of people move from New York or Connecticut or wherever to Florida. It's still the East Coast, but the change in climate is drastic. And it's okay if you do it in the winter. If you're a snowbird, that's fine. But you wanna kinda pick something that's gonna remind you of your environment back home somewhat. You don't want to feel like you're completely a duck out of water. And you're going to research. You're going to see where the jobs are. You're going to see where the houses are less expensive. You're going to see where the cost of living is less expensive. And you can believe if that's the truth, then the wages are going to be a little bit lower also. They're not going to be as high as where you're at, where it's not affordable anymore. So the other thing you have to consider is, are you running away from something or are you trying to go to something better? Which one is it? Are you running away from where you're at because you're afraid you can't live there anymore? You're afraid you can't afford it anymore? You're afraid you'll be homeless? Is that why you're leaving? And you're just going to leave? Don't just move to leave. Make a move to go towards something. And I'm going to tell you why that's not a good idea. Because when you get there, you won't like it. You'll be unhappy. You'll complain about this is not like it was back where we come from. This is not like our life was like. This is not how we did things. You don't want to be one of those people. So make sure that when you do this, you're going to a better way of life. You're going to something that's more substantial, something that's going to give you a reason to wake up every morning and be happy. And you're the one that controls that. Believe it or not, your happiness belongs to you, nobody else. Some people can be happy with a cup of hot coffee in the morning and a 3 by 3 square of land that they can call their own. So make your happiness what you want it to be. Pick the place you want to go because it's where you think that you can make a better life, not because you're just getting out of where you're at. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is be ready for culture shock. That's right. You're going to leave the the Northeast. If you're going to go to the Midwest, it's not going to be like the Northeast. They're not going to have Boston baked beans. They're not going to have pretty little stone houses with fireplaces or wood burning stoves. It's not going to be that old New England feel. Now, a lot of the foliage might be the same in certain parts of the Midwest, but it's not going to be that same feel. It's going to be a different culture, and you have to accept that fact, okay? The Midwest has a whole lot of Scottish and German and Irish and English and Croatian, and it doesn't have the old English feel. So if you're leaving New England, you're going to something better. Make up your mind you're going to have some culture shock. But don't let it be a shock. Learn to embrace it. Ask questions. Why do you do things that way? That's so interesting. Why do you do things that way? I want to learn about it. I want to learn how to be part of it. Convince yourself that you want to become oriented to the place that you move to. Convince yourself you want to be one of them. You don't want to stand out like a sore thumb. So let go of where you come from. Leave it behind you. Let go. You're not there anymore. Don't look back. You're not going in that direction. Become a part of where you went to. Become a part of the new environment you have been seeking out. Learn to embrace it, learn to appreciate it, and be happy, be thankful, because there are environments that are safe. There are environments that are affordable. Learn to be thankful for that, and you'll be much happier. You'll make friends, you'll fit in, and you'll be one of them before you know it. Okay? So, again, it's not where you come from, and you don't want to make it like where you come from. You left it for a reason. Think about that reason. You don't want to make it like where you left. You left for a reason. Keep that in the back of your mind. Okay, embrace the change. Learn why they do things different. Is it because of the environment? Is it because of the weather? Is it because of social changes? Is it because of heritage? It, you know, when I come to Missouri, I thought it was very unique that it had a lot of old fashioned traditions. Like for Christmas, okay, they get a cedar tree and they put it in the living room. And cedar tree is their Christmas tree, not a fir tree, not a pine, but a cedar tree. They don't use Scotch pines, they use cedar trees. I'm talking about the old Missourians. And I want it's beautiful when it's all decorated. You can't tell that it's not a regular Christmas tree, except it doesn't smell like pine. But you need to ask why. Why did they pick cedar trees? Well, I had a very old Missourian tell me why. Because when Christmas is over, they take it out of the living room and they cut it up into chips and mulch and they put it around their plants and they put some in their closets. It has a dual purpose. That tree resembles the life of Christ. To them, it resembles Christ came into the world. So you don't just stick it out on a dirt pile or on a garbage pile when Christmas is over. You take it and you take the remnants of it and you preserve them and you treasure them and you let that cedar protect you just like Christ protects you. And that's why they use cedar trees. And I never knew that. I was amazed when I heard that story and I thought, that's beautiful. We didn't have anything like that in the Northeast. So if there's something different, ask about it. Ask what it comes from. Ask what its meaning is. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at some of the things that people do in different regions. Um, Try to understand your new neighbors. When you get to where you're going and you get a rental house or you buy a house or whatever, try to understand your new neighbors. Now, the Midwest is friendly when you're driving on the road. You'll get waves from people up on their porch or on their porch. You're driving past, they'll wave at you. They'll wave at you if they're driving in their car, they'll wave at you. They do that, but they're not going to come running over and knocking on your door. The Midwest is more friendly to the curb. They're very friendly to the curb, but they're not going to come for coffee clutch. They're not going to come knocking on your door to say, oh, hey, we live across the street or we live next. That's not going to happen, okay? That's something Easterners and Westerners do, but that's not something the Midwest does. They respect each other's boundaries. They respect each other's privacy. And I'm not saying you won't become good friends and spend time at each other's homes eventually, but I'm just saying they do not invade your space. And it's just it's a custom. You get used to it. They're not antisocial. It's just how they do things. They have more respect. And if once you learn to recognize that's what it is, you become much more thankful for the kind of neighbors you have. Now, that's so with the women. With the men, they become buddies because they borrow things. If you got a screwdriver, I can borrow. You got a hammer, I can borrow. I'm doing this project and I need a little help with this, or you doing. I notice you're doing this project. How about I give you a hand? They are very helpful with each other, and they become fast friends. The women is a different story. Like I said, the women are not running each other's doorstep, so to speak, but they're there if you need them. But they'll watch each other's kids, or if they ring your bell and say, "I gotta leave in an emergency, would you watch out for my kids when they get off the bus?" They think nothing of doing that, and that's actually a compliment. They trust you to look after their children, even though you're new. So you take the time to learn the ways of the people. You'll be pleasantly surprised that it's kind of a nice culture after all. Okay, try to understand them. Always remember where you came from. Always. Don't ever forget where you came from. Because in doing so, you are going to appreciate where you came to. Okay? Try to blend in where you went to, why you, and you're going to find out, okay, where you went to, you're going to turn that into who you are now and who you can become. And that's important because that's important in establishing roots. That's important in becoming part of that community. That's important in being accepted. Um, just explore all your options to be happy about what's going on. Explore your options of how you can settle in better. You know, when I first moved here in the mid Missouri, when I moved from the Kansas City area, I love to cook. My mother was Italian. I cook a lot of Italian goodies. And my family likes lasagna and things like that. And so but they have to be cooked in big pans for them to taste right. You can't just make a little bit. So I would make it and I would put some of it in separate dishes and send them to my neighbors and say, "Would you help me out? I made too much." So instead of the New England tradition of bringing a pie or something to someone when they move in, I made the tradition of cooking something from my family and sharing it with my neighbors because that way I have to make a lot, but I don't have to throw it away and someone else can enjoy it as well. And we get to know each other better. And it's kind of a neat little tradition. Now I know my neighbors and I care about my neighbors and they care about me and we're friendly. You know, we're friends and that's how it should be. But you got to break the ice. Don't wait for them to break the ice. This is not New England. You're not going to get it, somebody from Britain coming across the yard, you know, with a pie or something. It's not going to happen. You've got to break the ice yourself. Meet your neighbors. Introduce yourself. Be warm to your neighbors. And the other thing I like to do is I buy treats for all my neighbors' dogs. And I like to go to the fence and give them treats. And eventually you meet the neighbors that way and you ask them, "You don't mind if I give your dog treats, do you?" And they know you're harmless and you're not a danger and you have a good heart and it lowers that wall of mistrust and it helps you to establish neighborly bonds, you know, and that's the way it should be. Um, So you just need to explore all your options to be happy. You want to be happy where you're at. And if you've done all this and you've given it a couple of years, at least a couple of years, don't just give it a couple of months, a couple of years. And if you truly don't like it, don't move all the way back to where you come from. Try a neighboring state. You might be surprised how much better they are, because in the Midwest, there's something I learned. Not every state is like the next one. Believe it or not, Kansas is completely different than Missouri. Missouri is completely different than Illinois. Illinois can't compare to Indiana. Indiana could never keep up with Ohio. Ohio has some similarities with Pennsylvania, but they're two distinct states with two distinct sets of traditions and ways of doing things. And Pennsylvania certainly can't keep up with New York and New Jersey, just like Jersey and New York aren't alike in any way. So if something, if you truly feel like this is not the state for me, I just can't make it work, don't go all the way back to where you come from, because you're going back to misery. Visit the state next to you, to the left, to the right, or the north, or the south, and see if there isn't a better spot for you. That's all. Maybe you just didn't land in the right place. When I first came out, I came to Kansas. Kansas was not for me. I could not get used to the isolation. Kansas has a lot of isolation. I could not get used to it. Now, my daughter lives in Kansas and loves it. But she was young. She was 10. I could not get used to that isolation, and Kansans are very isolated. They are. I mean, they go to clubs, they go to bars, and they all have a great time together, but they don't visit each other, and there's a lot of isolation in Kansas. Missouri is just the total opposite. In Missouri, people become friendly. People support their communities. If you live in a small town, it won't be long. You'll know everybody in town and they'll all know you. Missouri is a much friendlier state, and I love it here. Now, I've been over to Illinois. I worked in Illinois and spent a lot of time there, but it's still more different than Missouri. Illinois is it's kind of an uptight state. It's that's Lincoln country. That's where President Lincoln came from, and it's kind of an uptight state. They're very um, I don't want to say proper. They're not like New England at all, but they're kind of uptight about a lot of things, and they do things a certain way. And if you don't, they won't confront you about it, but they're going to kind of take a big, giant step backwards and look at you a little funny. And I just found that to be very uncomfortable. I couldn't get used to it. Even though I worked there, I couldn't get used to it. Um, But you're going to find that every state has its own unique ways, its own unique customs and traditions. You got to find the one that you're comfortable with. You got to find one that feels like, this feels like home. This feels like this could be home. And that's what I really suggest you do. Just don't just move to a state and say, well, we did things like this where I come from, because that won't do anything but make everybody dislike you. That will not help you become part of that community. And if you feel strong about wanting things to be like they were from where you come from, you should not have ever left where you come from. And I'm just being honest. What's the point of leaving? So, I You have to ask yourself, why am I not satisfied with this new state? Why am I not happy with this? And, you know, look around. Look around. Find out what you are happy with. And for the love of God, don't go somewhere just because somebody else said, well, you'll love it there. It's great. Because it may not be for you. You need to do your homework. You need to do your research. You need to see if it's great for you. And if at all possible, make a trip ahead. Go stay there for a few days. Walk around the town you choose to live in. Talk to people. Go in any cafe, sit down and have some coffee and talk to people. Find out if that's where you want to be. Find out what the taxes are. Find out what the property taxes are. Find out what the insurance is. Find out all these things before you go. You don't wait till you get there and then get a surprise, for God's sakes. I mean, you're going to make a major move in your life and you're just going to pick up and go and hope it works out. That's not a way to do things. Make a major move with some knowledge. Make some informed decisions when you do this, and then you won't regret doing it. I know I didn't. I love it here. I wouldn't go back for all the money in the world. And you know what? The Hudson Valley is my home, and I loved it. But when I look out at the foliage of all that beautiful fall foliage here in Missouri, I don't miss it at all. I love it. The Ozark Mountains are the prettiest place I think I've ever seen in my lifetime. And all the rivers are just as beautiful as the Hudson River. So I can't say that I miss it. And I don't regret that move. I don't regret leaving New York. I don't regret landing in Kansas and then leaving Kansas. I don't regret it at all. But now I'm going to be honest. I didn't leave Kansas like the next month or the next week. I was in Kansas for a couple of years. And I said, you know what? I'm honestly trying to make this work. And it just doesn't feel comfortable to me. It's just not my cup of tea. The people are wonderful. The people are nice. They live a different lifestyle. And I just can't get used to it, and I'm not going to knock their culture because it works for them, but it's not working for me. So I'm going to find someplace better, and that's what I did. And I recommend it to everyone. So just find your own utopia and embrace it. Make your own happiness, but make an informed decision before you do that. And I don't think you'll regret it if you do it that way. And that's my advice. Till next time.